Hey everybody, Nixon here. I just wanted to say thank you to a couple of people, a lot of people really. I want to say thank you to Pumphrey and Franklin for letting me be a part of this podcast for all these years. It's been one of the most rewarding experiences that I've had, and I will miss it tremendously, but I will be back. This is a see you later, not a goodbye. To all the students who have come out over the years to listen to the podcast, whether you've been in person or online, it's been a wonderful experience that will never be duplicated in my life, and I just wanted to let everyone know how thankful I am, and I hope you enjoy the last Nixon podcast.
Okay, we are at Collective Coffee for another live podcast in front of students. They're going to ask us some very engaging and important questions, life-changing possibly.
Life-altering.
With the first question, take off. State your name for the record.
Yes.
I'm Cohen Oswald, and this question is specifically for Mr. Nixon, since this is the last one. What are you looking forward to most about the new job, and what are you most scared of?
Oh, okay.
Hit the ground running, Nixon. Go.
I should have anticipated that question, I suppose. I think what I'm most scared of is I've been teaching for 9 years. It's kind of all I know at the moment, or maybe that's what it feels like. And so, I mean, you always have a fear of the unknown. I'm going back into legal practice for those of you who don't know. And I'm going to be rusty, so I'm scared of that. But I'm excited for that, too. Circumstances change in life. We've talked about it on the podcast before. You've got to do things that you feel are important and worthwhile, and I love teaching, and I always will. But right now, I need to do something else for myself, and so it's a little scary, but it's also exciting. I think the thing I'll miss the most is these guys, you guys, and I'm gonna stop there before I choke up.
My name is Emily Williams, and I need you to settle a debate that me and my sister had.
Okay.
I said it would be easier to survive a year in the coldest place on Earth, and she said it would be easier to survive a year in the hottest place on Earth.
Any resources? Like you're just naked and afraid?
What is the hottest place on Earth? Death Valley? And the coldest place would be, I don't know.
Death Valley at night.
I mean, you don't make it a day in either.
Yeah.
So is the question basically which would you rather go in?
Because
there's no live longer.
Yeah,
basically.
Which way do you want to pass away?
I'll answer that by saying it's just personal choice. I guess we'd all would have to do that, but I cannot stand being cold. I hate it with a passion, and I'll tell you why. When I was growing up, we lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I was your age, and I was having to stand at a bus stop, and with negative 40-degree temperatures blowing through my bones, I sat there seething hatred for the wintertime, and I swore that I would never be that cold ever again. So I would much rather be in a sort of heated desert environment and try to make the best I could. Dig for water, eat cacti, or whatever it is that we have to do, catch sand lizards. But I would much rather do that than be cold. It hurts, and I don't like it.
See, I'm the opposite. I cannot stand to be hot. I feel like you can always put on more clothes. The opposite of that's not true. So I need air conditioning, and which is ironic because I grew up, on the farm outside in the freaking heat all the time. And maybe that's why. Maybe I can be used to it, but I don't want to be.
I'd rather be cold.
I think at this extremes, I don't think your preference would even play into it. I think you would freeze. You'd fall asleep and die quickly of exposure. And in the heat, you would burn alive quickly. And I don't think it would even cross your mind like, well, I'm cold-natured, so I think it would be so extremely painful in both. Cold tends to be painful first. Like, I think you can get the temperature down where it's more painful than the heat first. Heat's more exhausting. But I think when you get to these extremes, I think it's just, I think you die pretty quickly.
What's worse, brain freeze or heat stroke?
If you go in with, I don't know.
Heat stroke can actually kill you, though, right?
Well, I mean, they both kill you. You'll fall asleep in the cold. You'll just pass, you'll hypothermia and you're gone. The other one, you're just burn alive.
I don't know. I'm taking my chances, man. I can't understand.
Thanks for keeping us grounded.
Oklahoma
Kev.
weather just killed me. I just can't do it. Yeah. We didn't settle the debate. Sorry.
How quick can you find? If I can find shade in the heat, I'll take that. Within any, if I can build an igloo in the cold, I'll take that. So whatever I can do faster.
Hey, I'm Liam. I'm a returning guest from class of 2023. And first of all, before I go on my spiel, my question, I just want to say, Mr. Nixon, we're going to miss you. We love you so much. You're a great teacher, and you meant a lot to me and my whole class of 2023. And so I just want to say,
Y'all
best
are
of
really
luck.
going to do this to me tonight.
All night. Yep.
But I was thinking, and honestly, I came up with this question on the spot. I did want to make sure. It was really an excuse to come up here and say, get you all watery-eyed and say hello and whatnot. But I do have a question. And I was thinking, because throughout my time as a student, I felt like I always came up here and I asked one or two questions. I was annoying, and I came up here and I asked a question about socialism because I was getting politicized and I got real into socialism. And two, I was annoying, and I came up here and I asked a really goofy, like, hypothetical.
Was this the little tiny Hitler story?
That's
Is that
one
what
of
it is?
That's one of those
Okay, yeah.
silly little hypotheticals. I decided to try to combine the two in some way. My question to you is: imagine yourself. It's 1926 or something, Russia, and you are the mother of Stalin. And you have to ring in Stalin in some way and be like, Stalin, you've been a real bad boy. How would you go about that conversation knowing that your son is literally murderous and cold-blooded killer? How would you go about that?
Well, see, I go find this guy named Adolf Hitler. No, that's horrible. I don't know. How do you rein in baby Stalin?
Give him a hug.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, maybe
I don't
it's
think they
just
did much of
love.
that.
Are you blaming Mother Stalin for the way the boy turned out? I'm just curious where this is going. We're not sure. So if we raise this little maniac, I mean, there's only so much parents can do, right? I mean, I remember growing up. Not that I'm anywhere comparable to Stalin, but I'm just saying. I remember there was a moment in my life where I'm like, "You're not gonna tell me what to do." Even though you're paying for my entire life and existence and well-being, you're not going to tell me what to do, boy, or what to think or who to be. So I don't know, like, no matter what Mama Stalin did, I don't know if it would change anything. How would you... And it's Russia, so do they, like, just beat them? I don't know, like, what happens there. How do you rein that guy in?
I think it was Papa Stalin that messed up Stalin.
Oh,
right?
maybe.
Wasn't it his father that was the drunk and beat him and all that? But I mean, who knows if that did it?
That doesn't make you like an atheist socialist, though. I mean, just because your dad beat you. I mean, you were disciplined as a child. I would bet I was too.
There's discipline, and then there's
Right. So there's different levels and degrees, but maybe he needed more and didn't get it.
I think he needed a hug. Is what I think.
Maybe try the alternate.
That
path.
doesn't work. I mean,
Well,
I'm just still sitting here thinking about it, and I can't really come up with anything. But I'm like, do I take the typical like Southern approach of go pick out a switch kind of thing, or something like that?
who do you guys even know what a Switch is, other than a gaming console? I mean, really?
Yeah.
Do you know the old school Switch? Anybody's grandmother go? Anybody? Yeah. Show of hands. I'm just curious. Couple of you. Oh, okay. Well, we are in the South, so that's relevant, I guess. Yeah.
were
Did you have to
just
go pick?
talking-
Did you have to go pick your own?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I mean, we were just talking about this the other day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I only once did I have to pick my own Switch, but I remember that day
No,
vividly.
that's like Gen X childhood. It's like, go get me something to beat you with. Like, that's a phrase that I heard often. Is
yeah,
that
well,
even
I
a
told
word?
you the story of my great grandma chasing me with a broom.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there are lots of things they could pick up.
Yeah.
yeah, that was my mom. She wasn't that organized. Just whatever's spatula, fly swatter, just whatever.
What's the weirdest thing you ever got smacked with?
The broom.
The broom. Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
I got whipped. Well, this won't make any sense to anybody else, but it was a short wooden hose that used to carry milk. It was cut short, and she grabbed that and started going.
Shawap.
That's
Yeah.
Probably the weirdest
Pretty
thing.
solid.
But you know what? I don't know if it was good for me or not, but we survived. So.
Yeah, we're not advocating for
No, definitely not.
smacking
think there's
children
better
around.
ways, but
And
yeah,
she
but
was in her
it was
80s
just
and
a
I was
part of it,
fast.
though.
The broom
Huh?
just got like my ankles and
You
the
got
bottom of my
broomed.
legs.
That is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, but just the bottom part.
Diedrich, what about you? Anything?
I told y'all I'm a sweet baby angel. I never did anything wrong. I never got spanked.
That is such a.
So that's the
pansy
next
answer.
generation, everybody.
Right,
Every
there's
every
the
generation
problem.
does better, and yeah.
They talked sternly to me. Anyway, all right, go ahead. Yeah.
My name's Hunter, and what are y'all's thoughts on Texas winning the World Series?
It's about freaking time. Isn't this their first?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
think
couldn't remember. Yeah, I don't. I used to follow baseball quite a bit when I was younger, but I just don't seem to have the time to dedicate to it anymore. But yeah, I mean, I like it when losing streaks end. I mean, that's pretty good. So yeah, I always root for. That's sort of I don't know. Is that a Southern thing too? We root for the underdogs. I don't know. Is that something, or is that nationwide?
My dad is weird. He'll root for the Razorbacks that's involved in anything, but if it's not the Razorbacks, whatever's closest, unless we're playing them, and then we're enemies. But anything like in the Southeastern Conference, that was the big thing. But I have reversed myself. There's no one in this room that went from one extreme to the other on sports. I was obsessed. Now I don't watch at all. So, see, kids, I coached sports for 5 years. I was a college athlete. All my life was sports. And around 30, I pivoted. I don't pay attention to sports at all. Isn't that weird? But it also is a lesson that you never know what you're going to grow up to be.
Was that a conscious decision on your part to just abandon all the things that you had found so valuable, or was it just
what time?
Circumstantial?
Yeah, family, music. What do I really want to devote my time to? And once coaching was out of my life, I mean, I still played sports like in leagues, but it just wasn't important anymore.
I read a thing the other day. It was a study that says that if people that are like super fans of any particular thing, I don't know if it's sports or celebrities or whatever it is, like they tend to be less intelligent. Have you seen that study?
Yes.
Oh.
The only reason I feel attacked by that is
because you agree with that study, Swiftie?
The picture on the image was Taylor Swift, but no, I don't necessarily agree. But I would also like to clarify, there are much larger Swifties than me, even though I feel as though Franklin has chosen that as my new nickname.
Hi, my name is Jacob Moss. When is the best time to start celebrating Christmas?
Day after Thanksgiving.
December 1st, for no real reason.
When did it become a trend to start putting Christmas displays up in September? When did that become a thing? Like all of a sudden, it's everywhere all the time. I mean, cool, have a dedication. I don't know, it's just, maybe it's because I'm that guy now. I'm becoming that guy. You become that age where you go, it's not the way we grew up. I don't want to be that guy, but I feel like I'm becoming that dude, It's like, it's not the way it's supposed to be. Like I'm making the rules, You should know, stop let's do one at a time. Slow down. What's the hurry? What's the rush? Why do you need to jump into Christmas at the end of July? I don't understand that, Have summer. Enjoy fall.
I think it's capitalism. I think when they started doing the shopping days, it's supposed to be Black Friday, and they back it up to a Wednesday night at midnight so people could lose their minds and run into Walmart to grab things they can't really afford. That Mariah Carey song is going to start playing any second now.
When is it? Oh, I saw the thing was like, she started to thaw. Here it comes. When's the appropriate time? I mean, who knows? That's a personal call, We don't, in my household. That's not my decision, but we just like to do them, as they come. I don't know that we need to rush into it. Like I said, life goes by fast enough as it is, man. I don't know that we need to just jump through hoops and go on to the next. Like you said, what do we need to sell next? I guess is what the stores are all about, right? Yeah. If you can't, in retail, by the way, since I used to be in that business, if you have stuff for summer, literally, if it's summer geared, but you don't sell it by the 4th of July, you're probably stuck with it. And so I get the idea about liquidating things, but I don't know that I need to set up Christmas while there's still swim gear out. Whatever. What do you think? Okay.
So if it were my choice, now I live with 2 other people, my house would already be decorated for Christmas. However, the people I live with disagree with this, so we have negotiated the terms of Thanksgiving break, the start of Thanksgiving break, we will start putting stuff up.
Have you snuck any ornaments on anything yet?
Well, I've already pre-planned my living room. I know where everything's going to go. But I want to put it up early because I want to see it. I want to know it's there for a long, extended period of time. If I'm going to put that much effort into decorating, I want it to be there.
All right, extend that past. When do you take it down?
New Year's.
Day?
Yeah.
See, I Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday, so I don't want to move into Christmas until after that. But I will leave the tree and decorations up a little past New Year, but not a lot.
So we have 2 outside trees, 1 big tree, 7 smaller trees, 1 Christmas tree for each kid. So this is my wife. She'll start decorating as soon as she can. But it's February before we get this wrapped up. I've got Christmas trees all over the house for months on end, and I don't know. There's nothing I can do.
Are you the people that leave the icicle lights on your roof line for like
I don't.
years and
I
years?
wrap it up the day, and she's going, I'm going to get the Christmas decorations down. And I do that too in February.
So not this past year, but the year before, me and my roommates left our Christmas tree up until February. And by that point, we were just, I guess you could say, lazy. So we decorated it for Valentine's Day so we could leave it up.
Okay. I mean, that works, though. That's creative.
Real Christmas tree or fake Christmas trees?
Fake.
Fake's the way to go. There's nothing sadder than those real Christmas trees the day after Christmas, and they're just out there lying.
Literally
rotting.
nothing sadder.
You're just driving down. There's still pumpkins that are rotting from Halloween. There's dead Christmas trees. It's just like the joy zaps all the joy out of the holidays.
I love the smell of the real tree, though. But it's
decaying?
No.
Oh.
You know, well,
When
it
it's
smells
alive.
good.
I didn't know where you were going.
Right after we cut it.
Yeah, for that, you know, few days where it smells really nice, and then it's just a dead twig in the living room. But
I mean, the festivity aspect of it, though, this is what I'm talking about with taking it down. Once it's all, like, everything's shredded and all the papers everywhere and everybody's gone through their stuff and you have that moment of joy and celebration, and, oh, we're so together, if you have that kind of thing in your household. But then once that's done and you clean that up, and then it's just like you're just looking at this thing that reminds you that it's over. And that's it just bothers me. I don't know. Not that I need to take it down that day, but it's like, I'm going to go ahead and start like you. I'm planning on when it's going to go up. I'm planning on how it's going to come down.
Hello, my name is Pike Williams, and I was wondering what about the past year, if anything, will be taught in like history classes or political science classes in 50 years or so?
the fact that we removed a Speaker of the House.
Yep.
We haven't done that before, so that will go down in the books.
They might do it a lot more, too.
Yeah, I mean, we may have 2 or 3 of them.
It might not be that special.
Yeah. But the first one will be in there,
It all kind of blends together. What else has happened this year besides that? I mean, aside from the stuff going on overseas, like what's happened here in the United States, where you go, okay, well, that's going to be in the book.
I can't think of anything from this calendar year. Next year, though.
What about all the
Next year,
indictments and the
I think some of
and
the
and
indictments
the trials,
will be,
New York, the federal indictment, Georgia, like if those things continue to pan out the way they look like they might, like that's going to be historic.
First president to have a mugshot.
Yeah, there you go. Right, that's going to. I'm sure that picture will be in history books.
By the way, he nailed that picture. I mean, you get one shot at that, and it looks just like what you would think he would look like, mad. Like he could have looked goofy, or hey, what'd you say, or happy, or whatever, and he locked in.
Yep.
Got it. I thought, it's not bad. And they're of course they're putting it on every t-shirt they can. But you got to give him props for locking that mugshot in.
I mean, capitalize on it if you can, and they did. He'd use that as fundraiser stuff. I mean,
the
it's
irony
kind of brilliant
is
to turn that around.
He doesn't own that picture. The state of Georgia does.
Well, can they sue him for using that picture?
It's possible.
Is it? That's that's kind of funny though. Another lawsuit. Dang. Yeah, overseas, it's going to be the Ukraine stuff continuing on, and the Israeli Hamas situation. I say situation like that's such a little thing. Yeah. What about technology? Any technological new things that we might study? Some breakthrough AI, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe the advancements in AI, but that's.
Was this the year of the alien? Like where everybody kind of just agreed that there's aliens and we just ignored it?
Yeah. But then nobody blinked twice about it. Like, yeah, sure.
Real
we did.
Commentary on the year when you go, is this the year with the alien? I think it was.
Is this the time?
By the way, 10 years ago, just even thinking that the government would say something like that, we would all just stop
and
put
release
aluminum
video.
foil on.
They released video.
We would have closed the school down for a week to figure out what's happening. And with all the craziness over the last several years, it's just like, oh, there's aliens now? Yeah, why not? Throw that on the pile.
Yeah, why not? Hope they brought chips, so they could watch the show. To me, that's a really weird one because we grew up. I'm a Cold War kid, and so we always there was always that hint that maybe the aliens were out there, and the government's do we believe when they say there's nothing to see here? But yeah, now that it's finally not that they verified it. Let's make sure we're clear about that. There's no government agency that said there are definitely aliens. They did not do that. But they did go, there's stuff out there that we can't explain.
Yeah. There's some flying objects that we don't understand.
They don't even call
the
them
physics of
UFOs
it.
anymore. There's a new acronym. There's a new
Is it unidentified aerial phenomenon?
aerial phenomenon, something like
that?
that. Yeah, I don't know. They changed it. It's like that matters. When was it? Hey, when were the kids going to storm Area 51? Was that last year or the year
That
before?
was a few years back.
That's been a while.
Yeah.
Okay. They didn't do
Not
that.
a good
though,
idea.
did they? No. Don't storm military bases, y'all. That's just a bad idea.
Or the Capitol.
Who knew that's a bad idea? All right, next.
I'm Frankie Colgrove, and I'm asking, what are your guys' first date stories?
Oh, God.
First date. Well, I was 5, and
I was with my wife.
Preschool.
10 years ago. And no, I don't even, no idea.
Like an official date, or that goofy stuff that happens when you're like 12 or 13, and you go off on, we're all the families are going to go to movies together, and then you sort of accidentally end up sitting next to somebody. Just kind of like, is this going to work? I don't even know.
The funny thing about that to me, and running through my head now, and this is going to date me beyond belief, but it was a couple skate at the roller rink. I mean, that was something.
Okay, so there used to be a skating rink in town called Crystal Palace. Now I think there's storage bins there or something, some up on the hill. That was a hit, man. Okay, I'm again dating myself here. Dating myself, aging myself. When the 1970s, roller skating was this fad. Everybody had a pair of roller skates themselves. Mine were black with yellow wheels, by the way. And racing stripes on the side. Everybody had in this Crystal Palace place. They would have like a Wednesday night carload night. If you could, how many of your kids you could pack into a vehicle and show up? Everybody got in for like one price. And so my mom had like a station wagon, and we put like 100 kids in the back of that station wagon. No seat belts. There was nothing about child safety.
Kids
anything
were
at
falling
that
out
point.
on the way.
Hanging onto the roof rack, and we all piled in down there. But yeah, you're right. That would probably be one of the ones, because they would do this spotlight skate where they would turn the lights down and they put little sparklies on the floor, the little crystal balls swinging, and then they would play some sort of romantic music, and you're like, you're looking for somebody to get with. Or if you're that other guy, you're like, I don't want to be seen with, because there's that goofy age when couples like each other but they don't want to admit it. That's that weird, awkward junior high dance scenario, where you have people on either wall. Like, I want to be the first one to admit that I like other people, But I don't know. So maybe but an official date. Go with official dates. What's your first official date? I'm gonna go down the line.
I mean, as soon as he asked
Or
that,
somebody
I just
asked you
started
out.
like cringing internally. But I mean, I feel like my first date really wasn't that long ago, but
oh yeah,
because I was
Netflix and chill.
and I also just the cringiest part of this story, if you're ready for this. So a guy older than me asked me to go to the movies, whatever. We go to the movies, and our English teacher is there, and he wants us to sit right next to her. So we sit with our English teacher while we're at the movies. And then, we went walking downtown. He dropped me off back at home. Terrible. Never saw him again.
You didn't enjoy that?
No.
There was no follow-up on that one?
No.
Okay.
I think he tried to come up to me at school, and this is going to make me sound very mean, and I promise I'm not mean.
Was the English teacher with him when he came up to you at school? What's going on
He
here?
came up to me at school the next day and tried talking to me, and I was just like, I'm just not interested. And he tried to kiss me, and I walked away.
This is the weirdest podcast we've had in a while.
It is, absolutely. It's one to go out on, Nixon. This is good. All right, no? All right, farm boys, what you got?
I mean, that would be, a date in my neighborhood would be she scooted over me in my truck, and we went to the Sonic. And then we cruised to the Burger King and back to the Sonic. And
But when you came to Hot Springs back in the day, the strip, the cruising strip.
Cruising, yeah.
So, I mean, I guess officially I was working at the Kroger. It was
the Kroger.
Well, there were only two. Yeah. This was the Kroger by Walmart, which is now Cece's. And we were both bagging groceries in the summer, and then we went out after. And it was literally, we worked until 10 o'clock, still in our Kroger outfits, got in the car, and she and I went around the block, down by the side. They're literally driving in a circle, doing nothing.
Right.
If that counts, I don't even... Yeah.
So for you young people who don't understand the cruising scenario, down about where Planet Fitness is now was sort of the starting point, because that's pretty much the end of town back in the 70s and 80s. And then you came up this strip and you made the circle around the fountain, and then you went back down that way and you found people to hang out with and talk to. And if you wanted to do it again, then you made the circuit. So that was just the thing that you did on Friday, Saturday night. So,
that was it.
Yeah, but it was super boring looking back on that now.
Okay,
was
so
before the
this
internet.
was uptown for me. I did this in Sheridan. We all had CBs, breaker, and we had, I had two 18-inch subwoofer speakers.
Of
How
course you did.
loud can I get the, bad for my, just crazy. So y'all are doing much better than we were.
Yeah, I think I didn't start like quote unquote dating until I could drive.
Yeah.
And then like once I got my learner's permit, then you're like, hey,
Learner's permit. You're out here at 14 going.
yeah, 14, yeah.
All right, next question.
Oh, hold on. Sorry. Let me add wasn't there, did you guys see the list that came out here recently about places you should not go on a first date? Did anybody else see that? It's like this whole big list that people put out there. I don't know who made the list, but supposedly it was like places not to go. And it was everywhere people go. So I don't understand how that was supposed to work. Did you see it?
I saw it, yeah.
Okay, what thoughts on that?
I was kind of like reading through it, and I kind of thought the same thing. But then I was like, I don't know where you would go if that's all the places you're not supposed
People
to.
on a budget have to have somewhere to go too. Okay, anyway, just a side thought. All right.
Hi, I'm David, and this one's for Nixon. Of all the classes that you teach, which one is going to be the saddest to leave? And is it one of mine with you?
That's like choosing children. You don't do that. No, all of my classes are so different. The subjects are so different. I can't really choose. And that's not a cop-out. It's just there's different things that I enjoy about each subject and different interactions in each class. So I mean, I'm going to have a non-answer on that. I don't know what to tell you. Can you rephrase? Okay.
What is your favorite and least favorite thing of the classes with me?
Oh, Lord. Well, let me ask you a question. How'd seminar go today? Okay. We don't talk about that? Okay. Look, every class has good and bad. I think seminar is really fun when we're working in groups and we're collaborating and things are going well. What's bad about seminar are the low parts, like when you realize that it's a lot harder than you think and it's a lot more work and that you have to, dust yourself off and get back. And that was something we had today, and it was collective. It wasn't just his group. I'm not picking on him. We literally, as a class, had a really low day. And we're going to pick ourselves up and dust ourselves off and get back to it. Comparative is always fun. This is going to hurt, and it's not meant to. You're not my favorite comparative class I've ever had. Yes, your brother's class was better than yours. Sorry. That class was possibly my favorite of all time, and I hate to. Man, now I'm just gonna tell it all. Like these are my favorites. These weren't.
Just burn those bridges.
Yeah, why not? I'm sorry, you pushed me.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. All right, Nick.
My name's Allie, and I first wanted to say hi, everyone. And Mr. Nixon, I was so sad when Hunter told me you were leaving. It was a long time ago, but I still remember those classes.
I remember too.
My question is mainly for you or Mr. Pumphrey, because I had y'all, but what has changed over the last, it's been 5 years since I've had your class. So what's been the biggest change? What's been the biggest change, and is it something that y'all like, or would you, okay, so the last time I was in your class was before COVID, so like, would you rather it be like it was then, like the classroom setup and things like that?
I mean, the biggest change I can think of, I've got a lot more gray right here and here too, so that's probably the biggest change for me. But COVID, I think COVID slowed everything down, and for us, we just noticed, and of course you guys were hurt by it, whatever grade you were in when it happened, that year and a half, 2 years really, that you kind of lost. So the classes now, I'm having to kind of go down a little bit and like kind of start over a little bit. The bar, I think, has lowered just a little with the more recent classes, and it's not anybody's fault except for COVID. So I was probably a little bit meaner, and a lot of much more. I know, and some of you that have me are like, "What? That you're already." But it was probably even worse as far as scheduling and getting stuff done and moving on to the next thing. But that, to me, that's the thing, is kind of just a softening.
So for me, it's your group was really, it was a different teaching style for me before COVID. It was so much more hands-on, so much more interactive, so many things that we did. And that all just crashed during COVID. And I haven't gotten that back. And part of it is we've been making up ground from learning loss, and we don't have a lot of time to do enrichments or activities. And, that's one of my favorite things. And so I feel like that there's a pre-COVID teacher here and then a post-COVID teacher here, and the two are very, very different. So, that's it for me. It's just the change in delivery and the amount of learning loss. And, I'm going to sound like the old man now, but I miss sort of like pre-COVID, the good old days.
Once COVID hit, I never set foot back into a classroom at Lakeside. Like, I did online for however long I had left, and then I go to college and it's completely different. And so it's like, but the instructors are also adjusting to the COVID, like when everyone was out of school for so long. So it's different for our end too, but I never got to see how it would be different in high school versus college, but
it's tough.
All right. Next.
I'm Teddy Headley, and should the Dakotas be merged?
Yeah. How did they get unmerged? That's what I want to know.
You're a U.S. history guy. How did they end up with two Dakotas?
I'm sure it might have had to do with balancing.
Yeah, but it was population.
Well, I mean, like bringing in a northern state with a southern state, trying to keep the slaving free. But I don't know when they became states, though. They're pretty late in the game.
But Montana's huge. If you turn Dakotas sideways, then they're kind of Montana. Yeah. So I don't know why there's two of them.
Teddy, do you know anything about the Dakotas splitting? There we go.
1889. The exact point we were making in class. Right. So here's my problem with
By the way, just real quick, COVID apparently had zero effect on this job. That's why I just said, you probably know.
He picked up all the things everybody else lost.
Yeah, when I have a brain freeze in class, I just go, hey, Teddy.
I need to verify something. My big problem with the two Dakota scenario is that they are such low populated states. And to me, it feels like they have overrepresentation in Congress, especially in the Senate, because of each one of them gets two senators, whereas a state like California, which has millions more people and such great diversity, has only two senators to represent those folks. And I just don't feel like it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I mean, to make it fair, for sure. I mean, one senator in Montana represents X amount. That is minuscule compared to what one senator in California represents.
Yeah, and nothing against the fine people of the Dakotas.
Fine people?
Fine people, yeah.
There's at least one family up there.
Have you ever driven through either of Dakotas?
No.
Yeah, so South Dakota is, you can run into people there, but North Dakota, there's nobody. I didn't see anybody. We drove through and we hit Bismarck and then we turned east and headed towards Minnesota. And I swear to God, we drove for hours and hours and didn't see anybody. There were signs for the population centers, and it was like 5 dudes and a dog. They had to add in the animal so that you would, make it seem like it's a bigger town. Never saw a single person. Maybe passed 3 cars on the road after 3 hours driving, trying to get out of this place. Every turnoff from the interstate, there were big signs that said, "Don't pull out of here. There are no services. There's nothing for you here but death. Keep driving until you hit Minnesota." And I was like, never so happy to see a state in my rearview mirror. Like, the best thing about North Dakota is the sign that says, "Welcome to Minnesota."
But we love our Dakota fans out there.
But again, yeah, all you folks in will this podcast even reach North Dakota?
Do they have internet?
Do they have the internet in North Dakota?
They've still got dial-up. It'll take them a minute.
All right, next question.
Hi, I'm Morgan, and I was wondering for Miss Diedrich, what's your favorite time period to teach about
in world history? Favorite time period?
We were just kind of talking about this today.
Favorite and least favorite. Let's do them both.
I honestly think the lead up to World War I is favorite time period. Least favorite, everything before Rome. Can I say that?
Sure.
It's just slow to teach. Y'all aren't interested in it. I can tell. It's just slow.
It sure was a mess over in Potamia. Nixon?
Give me a minute. Somebody else go.
All right. Yeah, my favorite is also the 1800s, with the caveat being the Middle Ages as well. Like I really like that because there's so many weird, interesting things that happened in the Middle Ages in Europe. But my super favorite time is like from basically American Revolution, which is the end of the 1700s, through the French Revolution and all of the major changes that just the world flips and becomes heavily industrialized, and you get away from the agricultural like mindset to you still have to have agriculture, people have to eat, but at the same time, like the world is based in industry and the aggression and the competition, which like you said leads to World War I. Like that whole span. I've said this in class to different folks, but the 1800s, you begin with Napoleon on horseback and you end with airplanes. Like it's an amazing 100-year period of development, So I don't know about least. Meh.
I think my favorite is first and second industrial revolutions, and then my least is going to be the 80s and 90s. And I think it's the least because I lived it.
Oh, yeah. The Reagan era stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. At least I don't have to keep thinking. You have because I know you focus on U.S., but what's your least and favorite?
In world?
No, in U.S.
Well, U.S. I love the revolution all the way. I mean, look, there's parts of the 1800s in the U.S. when Jackson's doing his thing that are, I can take it or leave it. But the industrial revolutions, starting with the American Revolution, the change in thought, and then the industry. And I like the Gilded Age. Okay. Imperialism. I enjoy that. Least favorite. Some of the boring political stuff I could do without.
Yeah, even though I guess that's where I'm going to go with that too. Even though I know it's super important, the voting rights push for all these different groups. When you start talking about different political movements.
underworld tariff.
That's just not super thrilling. Yeah.
I thought somebody was going to say Teapot Dome for sure.
Oh, yeah, Teapot Dome.
My name's Allie, and I want to know if you could live anywhere, where would it be?
America. Look.
North or south?
This, but how about North Dakota? Yeah, I've traveled all over, and there's never been a country I'm like, I would rather live here. And part of that's just me being comfortable with our culture, our society. Obviously, you have to really get out of your comfort zone, no matter what, if you choose another country. But, when you look at other countries in the world, we've won the lottery. You can criticize America for a million different things, and that's all valid. But, go live in Somalia for a while, or go live, wherever.
North Korea.
Yeah,
Not North Dakota. I started
North Korea. Yeah, pick another country and try it, and you might be surprised how good we have it here. So
one of the things I
like.
And
if I really wanted to live somewhere else, I probably would.
Sorry, that's one of the things I like about travel. And for years he had tried to get. He's like, you should go with us, Ron. We'll go travel. And I finally, Franklin. He would say Franklin. He wouldn't have said Ron. You should go with us. And we finally did. And I'm like, the experiences. It's great to go see other people and what they do. But part of what I like about that is coming back home and realizing that this is, don't take it for granted. Like there's a lot of advantages that we do have here. And it's nice to set foot back home into something that's familiar and comfortable. And that even in spite of the nonsense that tends to be the circus of politics sometimes, that there's a lot of good people out there doing good work. And we shouldn't forget about that.
Finland is always the happiest. I want to see what that's about.
It's too cold though. See, I told you I don't like the cold.
But there has to be some reason they keep landing at number 1 on the happiness index. So that's my answer.
As long as Russia's not invading them.
Well, that's true. They drop quickly when that happens.
I've always said if I was going to move somewhere else, and this is just because I've been very interested in my family's heritage for a very long time and done the DNA test and all that, I would move specifically to Palermo, Italy. And that's where my great-grandparents lived and had a vineyard. So that's just kind of why.
Nice.
By the way, I have thought with the happiness index, because that is something to look at, standard of living. But a lot of those countries have had a pretty rough history. And I wonder if they just appreciate their freedom and standard of living more than... And we have gotten so complacent because we don't have to leave and see rubble on the street, and we don't get invaded so far. I wonder if our happiness is because we don't have the gratitude from not having that kind of a history.
Hello, my name is Emily Mays, and my question is, if you could only keep one, would it be Socrates or Plato when it comes to the greatest influence on the modern education system?
Socrates. Socratic method. That's that's all we use in law school, and I'm indoctrinated by it.
Plato takes the ball and runs with it, but he doesn't do what he does without Socrates first, and he even owns up to that completely. I owe everything I know and have and will ever have to Socrates, the greatest mentor. So I think you would have to say that, especially since, and here's the thing too, let me go off on a little tangent. When I was first teaching and developing a style of delivery, a lot of people were like, it was this huge push for project-based learning. You got to get the kids up and active and get away from Socratic seminar, get away from discussion, get away from analysis like that, get away, hands-on, build stuff. But what Socratic method has literally worked for thousands of years. There's a reason why it has longevity, because it does work. It does push people to think more deeply and more well-roundedly, and you find deeper truths as you scour through the different ideas that are out there. There's a lot of trash thought. Just because somebody has a thought doesn't make it quality, And we see that a lot in the news, by the way, where you have, there's two sides to every argument. That does not mean that they're equally valid. Like, just because somebody has an idea or an opinion, but Socratic helps us get past all of that junk, filter it out to what's actually, you distill it down to something that's important, and then you see what has value and what doesn't. I don't think you can get, from an educational standpoint, I don't think you can get better.
Hello, my name is Jacqueline, and I have 2 questions. One is for all of you, and the next one will be from me and Kyla for Nixon. The first one is, if you had to, which dictator or dictators would you drink with? And then the next question is for me and Kyla for Nixon. What do you plan to do with those photoshops we made? And do you think the Stalin one was an accurate photo?
Let me answer that one first. We'll go back to drinking with dictators. I love the photoshops. If you haven't seen them in my room, I'm photoshopped in some very interesting things, from the Mona Lisa to the disappearing agent of the Stalin regime. I'm the one that disappears. It is my favorite. I showed all of them because it made me laugh so much, and I think they agreed that it's probably the best. Now, drinking with dictators. Who wants to take that one?
I'm going to go with Fidel Castro.
That's interesting.
Castro seems like a guy who would enjoy a nice sort of just, let's hang out and drink and talk about life, and, that I'm sure he'd dominate the conversation, but I don't know, that's the first guy that comes to mind for me.
I think Castro's great. He would make me smoke a cigar, and then I'd get all coffee.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that.
Maybe a little vodka with Putin. See what he's really up to. Are you dying or what, man? Let's see what Putin's up to. Maybe I can get him out of this war.
Fair enough.
No?
I don't know if I have an answer to that.
I feel like there should be an answer to that, but I can't really narrow it down.
Well, what's your field of choice there? You're going.
You know what would be fascinating, but I would be scared to death. It would be like Ivan the Terrible.
Any of those Russians would be, it's sketchy either way. It could go sideways real quick.
You might not leave after the drink.
You're on a train going to Siberia.
I don't know. Again, go back to the Castro thing. It just seems like he has a jovial side. I don't know. Maybe that's just maybe it's the beard.
No, live, laugh, love.
No Kim Jong-un. No.
I don't know. Rocket Man might be interesting.
Yeah, maybe.
I was thinking about it, but this is going to be a terrible, terrible answer. So, Kim Jong-un, but I was just thinking of the movie The Interview.
Oh.
So that's how I imagine it would be almost.
If you could bring Dennis Rodman along with you, maybe.
Oh, Nero.
Jack.
Cross is coming in with Nero. That would be interesting.
Yeah, because they'd start fiddling for you. A little musical entertainment.
I know it's historically inaccurate, but we could watch things burn together.
If you could hang out on that big party boat he built for himself in the middle of that lake in the center of Rome, maybe that would be kind of a cool scenario to hang out with.
Yeah. I don't feel like
Nero
that's a safe place to be.
I bet that is a Genghis Khan went hard too. I bet.
Oh, Genghis Khan.
Mare's milk.
Outside though.
Yeah, I don't know. Fermented mare's milk doesn't really have that. We should sing songs and party into the night.
Huh.
Yeah,
I like the Nero.
That is
That's
a very interesting question.
My name is Kyla. First of all, Mr. Nixon, I would like to say I'm personally offended. You did not say Stalin. Now everything Jacqueline and I have worked for is dead, and I'm never going to recover from this emotionally. But second of all, of course, we have archaeological records. We have proof for things, but a lot of what we have for history comes from written records and such. If you had to guess, as like a percentage estimate, how much of what we understand of history is just untrue, exaggerated by the records, or biased, or just completely fabricated? And do you think we will ever unearth a lot of the truths behind what we think is true but is not? How will history be taught differently in, say, 100 years? Will we revolutionize our understanding of history?
I don't want to dominate this conversation, but let me start by saying this. There's two things that come to mind when you say that. I don't know who this quote is from, but somebody said that history is the set of lies that we all agree to. So that references the idea that there's perspective involved and there's bias involved and there's cultural centrism and the victors write the stories and all of that. However, I will say this, that social studies is actually a social science. And as a social science, there is a drive to try to work past some of those things that may be problematic. When I was going through and getting my master's degree, we had to take a class called historiography, which is the study of history. Over the years, how have the interpretations changed depending on what culture people grew up in and what was going on geopolitically, internationally, maybe, or within inside a country? And it is interesting to see it change over time. But as a science, what we want to do is to try to find as much evidence as we can to build those ideas about how it may have worked. We're never going to know the narrative as if we were there. We're going to have the best we can do is rely on the information that people left behind, which itself may be biased in its own particular way. You're not going to get everybody's story, so you're never going to get a crystal clear picture. But I would argue to you that all of us sitting here in this room would have a different perspective on what's happening in our lives if you ask what are the most important things, or what is, like the question we had a while ago, what's going to be in the history books? Like everybody in here may have had a different answer to that. What's most important to you? What will scholars decide later on should be in the books that we focus on? I think that there's a trend, and I hope that continues, beyond the lies that are spilled out on social media and all that. Like, again, filter through all of that nonsense and get to something that actually it makes sense. And I think that's probably the best you can do, is hope that you can shake all the nonsense out and come to something that at least we can go, well, is it this or is it that? And maybe we can debate it past that, But like I said, the science aspect of that is that it seeks to be as accurate as it can be, especially when you go back distantly into thousands of years. It's harder to get a good grasp on that. I'll give you a prime example. We just talked about this in my AP World class. Since I've been teaching, there was this idea that human beings traveled into these continents during the last ice age, somewhere between 10 to 15,000 years ago. However, they have just found a new set of footprints in New Mexico that are dated beyond that, possibly 20 to 25,000 years ago. And so people were swarming over these areas much sooner than science had originally thought. So that has to change the narrative a bit. When we discover new things, we add new things in if we're doing it the right way, And I hear people criticize science by, well, science changes its mind all the time. That's what science is supposed to do. Science is not supposed to cling on to things that are no longer relevant. You do the best with what you have and the information that you found. When new variables pop up, you add those into the equation and see what happens next.
Yeah, and I mean, just from our perspective in class, we have new books, that, but even this year, I've already said a couple of times as new things have popped up, like, hey, your book's already inaccurate. And, it's one of the good things about being a lifelong learner and teacher and learning how those things change and then passing along so that we don't repeat the same. So I do think he's right. I think it's a continuing search, and I don't know what might change 100 years from now, what perspectives or outlooks will change, but I know they will. So
to me, that's one of the most important things about studying history, though, is that you can be aware of things when they do change, and you don't hold on to outdated, what used to be considered true is no longer, because you've added more people's stories into the mix, right? So when I was growing up, every Native American was a villain in every movie, in every story, and every storyline was like, oh, the poor pioneers marching out there into the wilderness, just doing their God-given right to manifest their destiny, But that's not an accurate depiction of what actually happens. But now we have a better version of that story because we've done a better job of finding those other variables and those other voices.
Got time for maybe one more?
Maybe two. All right, quick lightning round. Here we go. All right.
Merrick, if you had to teach a different subject than history, which subject would you teach?
Sociology, psychology.
I do like those. I would teach those if I had room on the schedule. I like those subjects. Science, maybe. I thought about being a science teacher before I switched to history, or before I chose history.
I'm really lucky with my seminar kids. I get to teach a little bit of everything, and I learn a little bit of everything because they get to do what they want. So I don't,
Mine would be family and consumer sciences.
My name is Jack Kraus, and I'm wondering your thoughts on the school shooter procedure, because I have teachers that will tell us, just sit in a corner, and teachers on the other hand, like my AP Chem teacher has said, find the most potassium hydroxide you can find, throw it, and run.
Oh, somebody else want to unpack that one?
Well, we used to have a different thing, and I think teachers are a little bit confused there's a little bit of miscommunication with what we're supposed to do exactly. We used to have to put them in people in the opposite corner because we didn't cover the window and stuff like that. Now we're covering the window, we're hitting the lights. As long as kids stay quiet, maybe they don't have to run to the corner, but
every part of the building has its own vulnerabilities, and so I think the instructors have to be cognizant of that and make a decision based on where's the safest spot in this room, depending on what's happening outside those doors. How do you secure the room? Can you get out? That was one of the things that they expressed to us. In a room like mine, I'm in a freaking bunker. There is no escape besides that door, but there's also no entrance other than that door. And once I bar that, it's a done deal. You're not coming through. But from what we were told by the on-campus police and the authorities who come and try to give us some information about this, if you can get away, that's probably the best thing to be able to do.
We're breaking that
but
window.
That's not always something that you can do, right? So that's a complicated question, and our answer has to be thusly complicated too, because it depends on where you are. The scenario outside in the hallway, as opposed to a room like mine, or in the bathrooms, or in the lunchroom, or out on the field, or in the parking lot. Where do you do? Where do you go? Like, it doesn't make sense to run into the building and hunker down if you're outside already. Sure. So we have a plan. I agree that it can be sort of narrowed in scope so that we have everybody's more on the same page about what should or shouldn't happen.
But we do have a plan. That's a big leap forward from 10 years ago when no one knew what to do. We have these cable locks on the door, so the school's done a good job of getting us as with the one-way entrance and all the changes that have been made. There's been a lot of progress on that front. So,
and the school has a plan, and I think every teacher in the back of their mind has their own kind of plan to what they're going to do. But in reality, nobody knows what they're going to do till they're in that situation. It's your fight or flight. You're going to figure out right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I'm Stuart Briner, and I have a question for Nixon. So if you became president, what 3 things would you do in the country? Which way would you lead us?
Oh, well, I would never be elected president. The name itself is already a detriment. The funny thing is the president, in all honesty, doesn't do much. I know that people think that the president does, but in reality, it's it's an aspiration. So, at best, I can say is try to lead us out of the deeply partisan divide that we're in. Remind people that we are in this crazy ass experiment of democracy together, and that there is more that unites us than divides us, literally. And so,
Would you be a third party guy, or would you try to toe some sort of party line?
Would you buck the system completely? Big of a mouth to toe a party line, which is why I will not
never be president.
Yeah, that right there.
See, I knew the answer to that question before I asked it.
All right, we got to wrap this up. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We do want to say a very heartfelt goodbye to Mr. Nixon. One more time, give it up for Mr. Nixon. And we'll see you guys on the flip-flop. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Collective Coffee.
Thank you guys.